Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Iconic with me, Danny Pellegrino. I'm here with the one and only Jill, Zarin, and Ally. I'm so glad you're both here with me. How are you two doing?
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. I'm so excited. How are you guys doing with all of the stuff going on? I know there's a lot of craziness. How are you two?
Yeah, which stuff? There's so much stuff going on.
I mean, I'm talking about the coronavirus, I know, but there's a lot.
Great. We're doing great, right? Well, I mean, coronavirus sucks.
Well, listen, you know, as somebody I bet I look horrific.
Not that great.
I look horrific because
No, you look great.
I got up early, played tennis for an hour and a half up in Palm Beach. So I
wake up every day at 6:30.
Get up at 6:30, go to play tennis, come back at my desk by 9:30, and then of course I'm doing a million things. It's Monday, it's a busy day. But Allison had one of my fans actually read my horoscope, and did Allison a few days ago and read it to me, and I said,
no, it wasn't a horoscope. It was like a psychic reading,
like a psychic reading,
like an astrology reading. Okay.
Anyone wants to know who slides into our DMs? It's psychic.
No. So anyway, so a lot of people do, but Ally, and I said, you know what, Allison, she's so right, and I was like, I said, Allison, if she read that about me, completely wrong.
What was it?
But it was right. So anyway, so I asked her, I said, ask her to do me. So she did me, and again, she was so right. And if you had said that was for Ally's reading, so wrong, right? Because we're so different. So whatever you would think of me, you would think the opposite of her.
Oh
her point is hysterically crying this morning.
Oh yeah, no, but that wasn't my point. Actually, what was your point? What she was saying.
But she spoke to Bobby.
One of the things she said in my psychic reading was that I'm really doing what I want to do, which is, I don't want to say nothing, right? So I was on a fast track, fast pace, running and doing, and all I wanted to do was stop. And, it started with leaving the show, but I was still very, very busy. And then Bobby got sick, and I was like not looking forward to him being sick, but I was looking forward to doing nothing but taking care of him and not having to worry about all the noise. And it never really worked out that way, but as much as I could. And then when Bobby passed, I came to Florida, and I really just wanted to do nothing. And I don't mean nothing, but I wanted to play tennis. I wanted to be my parents. I didn't want to get dressed in gowns anymore. Right. I didn't want to be in that fashion. And so when you say, how are things going? I hate to say it's I'm living the dream in the sense of I don't have any more FOMO. I have a lot of FOMO. So because there's no events going on, I'm not missing anything.
Right. You're sitting inside. You're forced to slow down.
Yeah, I'm forced to slow down, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And I'm enjoying being with my daughter for the first time, really together.
Right.
She was little. Then she went off to college. Then she got a master's, and she left the nest. But she came back to the nest, and she doesn't have a man yet, and the next time this happens in 10 years, God willing, she'll be married and on. So this is the one time in her life that has no attachments except, back to me and Gary, who's
we got to see Gary on RHONY for a minute. It was so nice to see.
Funny. You didn't really get to see. Some people picked up on funny because when he said, "Oh, that'll make you lose weight," when he looked at all that disgusting food, it was disgusting.
We heard your podcast talking about the food. You were right; it was disgusting.
Oh my God, it was foul. I didn't understand why.
Half of it. When I walked in, there was a dead pig on the table with the head.
It's disgusting.
I mean, it was, and then there was the head of a boar, just the head with the hair and the whole thing. I mean, it was just vile. I said, I think that the PETA people are going to come running. I think they knocked it out because of it.
It was just a little bit aggressive. What was your thought on that whole night? I mean, I know we have so much to talk about. I want to ask about you're making masks. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about the rugs because I'm actually I can't move the camera, but my feet are literally on one of your rugs. I told you I have 2 of your rugs in my house.
So are our feet.
And I didn't even pay you to do it.
I swear to God, no, they're fantastic. I was looking for well-priced rugs that would go with my decor. And somebody had I had posted on my Instagram. I said, I'm looking for, I had bad experience with West Elm. I was I'm never ordering from them again. I couldn't find something. Somebody DM'd me to look at your rugs. And I swear I tell everyone now, I think they're fantastic.
Thank you.
They last. Do you have any pets?
No pets.
All right. Because they really show their stuff when you have a pet pee on them or, hopefully not a friend. But
they're shockingly good priced for the quality.
They feel like silk.
Because you're cutting out the middleman. That's why. You're buying direct.
Okay, but so I want to talk about that Halloween party. So what was your impression? Was this the first time for you filming for this current season that's airing? What was your impression of everything going on? It's a lot of drinking, right?
No, that never bothered me. I never pay attention to the drinking because I don't drink. So I drink double Coke, and sometimes if someone's like, okay, Sonia, who I love and adore more than life itself, clearly was intoxicated when she arrived because I think everyone saw that. So that I would notice, but I wouldn't notice anything else. I mean, I don't count people's drinks.
So what was your impression of that Dorinda speech?
Oh, you didn't see the half of it.
Really? What was the rest of it?
Well, it was just a lot of, a lot. It was a lot. But I have to say, at the time, I mean, I don't know. It just came out of nowhere. It kind of came out of nowhere. Like we got to the party and, it's one of these housewives parties, and everybody's in their own little, circle. You don't really know what else everyone's talking about. There's a couple of cameras around. You don't know what they're following. The thing is I walked into, I don't know what. I didn't know where they were coming from or where they're going in the story. So I just rolled with it. I had a great time.
I saw you did an Instagram Live with Elise. My buddy Dave Quinn posted on Twitter that you had said after that party you were supposed to go to the Berkshires. Can you tell people what happened there?
I really can't because it's not. It's not a good thing. I shouldn't really speak out of school with Bravo and everything else because they kind of get annoyed.
Well, you talked about Instagram Live.
I did a little bit, and I probably shouldn't have. So I don't want to perpetuate what I probably shouldn't have done.
Right.
I think I said whatever I had to say at the time. You know what it is? It's like, it's different. I feel like it's different when I'm talking at the TV and I'm watching it like a viewer. I am a viewer. And making commentary or whatever versus like analyzing it. I'm not an analyst. I leave that to you guys.
Yeah.
Hold on, Gary's coming in. Come on, Gary. He's eating snacks. What you got? I want chocolate chip cookies. What you got?
Yeah, everyone's asking me to make chocolate chip cookies. I know what's going on.
Wait. Hi, Gary.
Hey, I was listening to you this morning.
Duck
from
down,
Dennis.
Gary.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope I didn't say anything too out of turn or too mean.
Now you know I'm going to be listening. You got to be careful. Heather McDonald, that was my best insurance policy. She knows I Patreon with her, so she can't even hide. She can't run it. She can't hide.
I have a question. Did you go to broadcast school to develop that voice, or is it a natural voice?
Oh, thank you. No, I did actually go to school for journalism and mass communication.
Did they teach you how to develop
No, I had to take one voice lesson for the program. They made us take a voice lesson, but it was like a singing voice. But they teach you some of the basics, but that was about it. No, some people, it's nice of you to say, but some people, I get messages all the time that are like, "I hate your voice." Everyone's got an opinion, so some people.
Well, I'm sure Jill Zarin voice has gotten it too. Annoying.
So do you normally, if you weren't in COVID, would you be doing this out of a studio?
Yeah, I would normally be doing it. I mean, in person, but I'm still recording from my house. I still record from my apartment. I have a little office area.
Do you live in the city?
Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm in West Hollywood.
Because you have a different blue backdrop. How do you make
I know. My boyfriend set up because we started the YouTube. So we've been doing a lot of these Zoom interviews. So he set up this thing because he said he's like a tech guy, and he said it just looked terrible with the background we had.
What is it? A piece of paper?
It's like a green screen. It looks green to me. It's blue to you, but it's like just a green background.
Cool. Yeah. And he can change the image, so you can make
make it anything. Yeah. He actually hates that I wear these big headphones, but I can hear you much better with the headphones. Okay, Jill, enough about me. So first tell me about the masks, and then I have more RHONY questions for you. So tell me, but you guys are doing tie-dye masks, so tell me about this.
We are. I can show you. I know, and no one else can see it except for us, right? But Allison, I was folding last night, and I decided I was going to pick my favorites and put them in the bag because everyone keeps stealing. When we run out of masks, everyone goes to my secret bag in my drawer, and I'm going to have to hide this in the vault. So, you want to talk about it? No, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me, you guys are tie-dyeing these, right?
What happened was basically at the beginning, we started with this Nashes for nurses. That's really where it started. So when COVID happened, Ally and I, we were all kind of in shock. What can we do to help? And I heard on my sister's radio show, the Lisa Wexler show, which is out of Connecticut, she was interviewing someone who said that the Clintons had donated like 20 pizza pies or 10 pizza pies to the local hospital the night before without any fanfare. And I said to Ally, that was a great idea. Why don't we call up our local pizza place, Italian place, and send food over to Boca Regional because we're in Florida. And we did. And we realized after, no more pizza. Pizza you have to share and germs.
Oh, right.
But we learned. So that was the first thing. And we said, that was great. It feels good. As much as it's great to get, it feels so much more to give.
Right.
That's for me. So, and for Ally. So we decided we were going to, I spent a lot more of my own money, but then I started to say, I need help. And I reached out to some friends of mine who donated, and then we started this Nashes for Nurses, and people were sending us photos on GoFundMe. And by the way, we need it badly, Danny.
What's the link? How do we get there?
It's GoFundMe.com/Noshes for Nurses.
Okay.
And like a nosh of ice cream.
Right.
And we raised about $60,000.
A lot of money.
Quickly, though, in the first 2.5 months. And we fed over 30,000 frontline workers. Yes, I did. I made all the phone calls. From
24 hours a day because
nurses, doctors, firefighters, police officers, everyone.
Okay. We never said no to a request because people DM and found us and whatever. And we asked people, please tell us who needs it. We tried to focus on the areas in the country that were on fire. No pun intended.
Right.
New York. It wasn't really Florida, but we did Florida because that's where
New
we were.
Orleans, a lot of
California,
Illinois.
And then we just had random places in different parts of the country, fans who would say, and there was one place in the middle of the country we did the whole hospital because it was only 150 meals. So we did the whole hospital, and that was the whole hospital. That felt really good. And, Allison made relationships with different companies, a donut company called Dough in New York.
Insomnia Cookies donated free cookies.
Donated.
Boss
Water.
And you probably heard from a lot of these healthcare workers and stuff who were getting the food. They must have been so grateful.
You have to go look at Allison's Instagram.
Yeah.
Take a look at our Nashes for Nurses, stuff.
So Sloan Kettering was where Bobby was, and they would FaceTime us every single time they received a donation to thank us, crying. We would feed about 4 to 6 floors at a time at Sloan Kettering.
Wow.
It was amazing.
So the food.
Sometimes it was just a nosh, like a cookie. And milk and whatever. We got drinks, and sometimes it was a full gourmet meal. It really just depended on how much money we had in the bank and how many people were asking that day.
So how did that lead to the masks then?
Well, okay, so I just want to say that most people burn out. And I have a few friends who God bless, they raised some money, they raised 10 grand or whatever. But after a week of doing it, it was like they're done. And you know what they did? Stephanie Gottlieb did. Yeah, she gave us her money. She had raised too much.
So we spent it for
She didn't want to do it anymore. It was too hard. It's really hard. It's not easy to find. It's a little intimidating. You're a little scared because, it's COVID and you don't want to interrupt anyone and they're busy, So she'd have to find out who to talk to, what administrator, what their rules were, how they're going to get the food because no one can walk in the hospital. It all had to be met curbside. Right. And sometimes they would show up with the food and there'd be nobody waiting. Or they'd be waiting for the food and the food wasn't there. And all these phone calls and Ally. And she didn't do it for 1 week or 2 weeks. She did it for 14 weeks. And
it's amazing.
And 7 days a week. She never took a day off because she said COVID doesn't have
4
a day
meals
off.
a day across the country.
So I'm so proud of her. So from that, the masks. So what happened was I've done business overseas before in my career. And one of the factories that I worked with started making masks, just to make a long story short. So I started importing masks. And I said to Ally, we should tie-dye these. They were white, right, at the beginning. And we did. I don't know. It just started, and people went crazy for that.
Well, I posted it on my Insta story, and everyone wanted to buy them.
Right.
And I couldn't handle the Venmos, and so we added it to Jill Zarin's website. No, that's just Rainbow.
I love that. I think early on, a lot of us realized we're going to be in this for the long haul with the mask, so we want something cute, right? You want just something a little bit different. I think it's fantastic. So where can people get these masks?
So they're on JillZarin.com, and we do donate one to a healthcare worker for each one sold. So basically it goes back into this network that we created of nurses and healthcare workers that now can come back to us. And I reached out to them initially saying, what's your address? Can I send you masks now that I sent you meals? And then a lot of them, new ones come to us, hundreds a day, requesting donations. Yeah.
Ally, can I ask your background? What do you have you always been charitable, or can you tell me a little bit about where you're headed, I guess. Is that a dumb question?
Yeah, no, I had a job and I got laid off like everyone else did. So I mean, I'm from the city.
Yeah.
I had to say born and raised in New York. Went to college, worked in advertising for a few years, and then I got my master's in contemporary art at Sotheby's in London. And I came back, worked for Paddle 8, which is an online auction house. And I worked with all of our benefit clients, creating their charity, benefit auctions around the country, and traveled, setting up their auctions. And then I got laid off March 10th-ish.
Right.
And they went bankrupt. So it just kind of worked out that
she was unemployed.
I came down to Florida, got unemployed, started Noshes for Nurses. I could invest all of my time into it. And now we're literally tie-dyeing, packing every single day.
My nails,
24/7.
my
Oh my God.
Black underneath. It's not
It's literally us doing it.
It's amazing though. That's something to be so, Jill, you must be so proud that she's,
I am.
yeah.
It's really hard.
Well, Jill Zarin's doing all the tie-dye.
I do most of the dyeing. We have one person helping us, but I do most of the dyeing because I do the better ones.
So we can go to Jill Zarin's website and we can get all of these.
Jill Zarin.
Now they're in stores too. I mean, specialty stores like Lester's, Zittimer's in Florida, the COVID store in Aventura Mall. Big Drop just called us today. They want to carry. The best part is they're calling us. They're finding them, and they're very special. They really are. And this is the thing, I buy a lot online, a lot. And what I've learned is you got to read the reviews because people are honest. And if they like a product, they'll tell you. And if they don't, they tell you. And if you go to the reviews on our masks, we've not had anything but 5-star reviews.
Because I'm so OCD.
Good.
Nothing leaves this house if it's not perfect.
I bought a mask recently I think it was from Amazon or something, but it had like the ear holes were on the wrong.
Oh, no.
It was shaped like an L, but it didn't. I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't go around the ear properly.
At the beginning, I bought a mask that was supposed to be my dog's face.
Oh,
I'm a Pomeranian. All Pomeranians look the same. All Chihuahuas look the same. I bought the Pomeranian. It took 3 months to get here. I paid $29.99. And plus shipping, so it's probably $40. Comes here. It's literally like paper, and it's not a Pomeranian.
It was a Yorkie.
Right.
A Yorkie.
It's like, what the fuck am I going to do with that? Yeah.
I was so upset, but then how am I going to get my money back? But anyway,
I know.
And the other thing is we're both a little OCD. That right now we ship it out within 24 to 48 hours.
That's amazing.
Which is what's so important.
And what most people do is they make you wait 4 weeks.
Right. Jill, I gotta ask you something about what I believe to be some of the greatest TV of all time. I think I always say RHONY season 3 should be shown in movie theaters. I think it's that good. And specifically,
I hated that season.
I know.
4 I loved.
I love season 4 too, and I actually think season 4 is underrated. But
by the way, I just want to tell you, technically, it was the highest rated episodes and seasons of all 12, but nobody talks about that. The last season that me and Kelly and the crew was on, the best rated season ever.
It was good. The Morocco trip was fantastic.
People don't realize that. After we left, the ratings went way down, and then they started to crawl back, but they never got to close to where they were.
I think true RHONY fans appreciate season 4. I think it was just such a big shift without Bethany around, but true fans really love that season because it's fantastic. But my favorite thing of all time is the Scary Island series, specifically when you show up with hi, and I have
just did it. Did I do it?
Yeah. Did you see our TikTok?
I just did a TikTok.
Yeah, I saw it. I know. I was going to ask you about that. Hi. Yeah. Hi. It's the hi heard around the world, Jill. But I have so many questions, lingering questions about that trip, specifically when you arrived. And I still feel like there's so much mystery around what exactly happened, specifically with Kelly. You had said you ran into her at the airport. Can you tell us what happened between
I can't say too much. I have been told not to talk about things behind the curtain.
But can you say
that curtain?
Why is it so hidden? Why?
I think they just don't want to expose the mystery of the show. I know. You know what?
It's been 10 years.
I think it's changed a lot. The show used to be very much it's real. We don't want to talk about anything that's not, whatever. And then they started pulling back the third, fourth wall saying, we know, we're going to tell you that we know we're on TV. because there was a point, I don't know, I think on Beverly Hills where they broke it and said something about filming or whatever. It's changed, but I'm always the one who gets in trouble with the network. Even now, they would call me up,
But I know what you can say though, that you had a trip planned with Bobby. And you were on your way down anyway.
That people know already.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how did it just happen? You weren't just planning on the whole time. You weren't planning on a scheme to surprise them and make a splash.
No. What happened was we were all invited to Ramona's trip.
The wedding trip or whatever it was. Yeah.
Was it a wedding trip?
It was like a bachelorette kind of vow renewal. It was wedding themed. Something like that.
Oh, that didn't work out so well.
So you had a trip planned with Bobby.
You do it 17 years instead of 20 now.
Okay, so I was my senior year.
So Ally was a senior and she was applying to colleges. And I didn't want to leave her before her applications were all in for college. It was just as simple as that. So I said I couldn't go. And Luann didn't go, and I forgot why. There was a reason she couldn't go either. But I had this genius idea because Ally actually was finishing up her essays sooner than I thought. And they were leaving, I think, on a Thursday. And the beginning of that week, I realized that Ally was going to be done and I could have gone on the trip. So I said it wasn't the producers. I said to the producers, hey, what if I come down and surprise Bethany and we make up? That kind of thing. And they were like, great.
Right. So it was great intentions. It's like, this is such a good idea.
That was the great idea.
Yeah.
It was the $1 million idea.
And none of the women knew.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know who knew?
I surprised her to make up.
Well, Kelly knew because I was going to come and save her. That ended up, I didn't know that was going to end up being the case.
I think the night before you were texting her and she was saying that things are going kind of south.
The night before, this has been public. I think the girls have definitely talked about this, that the night before, after that whole crazy jelly bean
go
to
sleep,
they called me off camera.
The other women called you.
Definitely Ramona, the whole group, off camera.
Right.
And said, Jill, listen, Kelly's going crazy. You got to call her. We don't know what to do. I think she needs medication. I don't know, whatever nonsense. Now, they did not know I was coming. At that point, I should have said I'm coming down.
Right.
That was a mistake.
Because you knew things were a little rocky.
I knew things were rocky, but I thought that that's part of what we're doing here. What else are we doing a show? That's, being real.
And so when
the reason why I was going to stop by is because I was going to St. Bart's for Thanksgiving. Ally was with her dad that year. So Garrett, Bobby, and I were going to St. Bart's. And St. John, I don't want to say it's on the way, but it's kind of on the way. It's not that far. And the show agreed to take care of getting me, to and from wherever I had to go.
So when the women were calling you, when Bethany and Rhona, they were calling you, how serious did you think it was with Kelly? Did you just sort of assume, they were
serious, but I never thought she was leaving.
Right.
If I had known she was leaving, I probably still would have gone, but because I'm an idiot, but I shouldn't have. I should have said, well, she's not going to be there. Because my whole thinking was, I've got Kelly. Because remember, I wasn't talking to Bethany.
Right.
Ramona and I are what it is. And Sonia's was new.
She was new.
Second year, and it was neutral. And, I wasn't friends with Alex. But who cares?
Right.
But I thought that Kelly was there, so I would bunk with her. Or, she was my safety net, right?
And so Kelly decided on her own to leave, or was it production?
I don't know.
Yeah, you must know, but you don't want to say it.
I don't know. I'm sure. No, she wanted to go home because her kids, the nanny, couldn't stay, or I don't really know specifically. All I know is that when I landed, I saw Kelly in the airport. And that's when I should have turned my ass around and said, you know what, if she's not there and I'm coming there to save her, at that point, they called me the night before and I'm like, just everybody chill out. And I called Kelly on the phone after they called me. I said, Kelly, I'm coming tomorrow morning. Just
stay there.
I'll get there. Just stay in your room.
Right.
Don't talk to anyone. Order room service. I'll be there in a few hours. Anyway, she couldn't listen.
So was there no one filming when you ran into her at the airport? I feel like nowadays, if that were to happen, there'd be some sort of producer footage or cell phone footage or something. But no one filmed that.
I do. I have photos. I have photos of her on the other side of the window in the airport waving.
Jill.
So visualize this. The airport is an outside airport, okay? The plane lands outside. You come off the tarmac, okay? Then there's a building with a glass, where the waiting room is for them to come out, to come on the plane as you're going to luggage. Then the new people are boarding, right?
Right.
So I'm coming off the plane and I'm walking towards luggage or whatever, towards passport control. And where the people are waiting to get on the next flight, there's Kelly waving, hi!
Oh my gosh.
With one of the producers, who, by the way, now became, his name's, doesn't matter what his name is. Now he's become the executive producer, what do they call it? The showrunner on RHONY now. He's actually the big boss. Yeah, he's the big boss now. But he was her person back then, and they flew him home with her first class. And it's serious when the show's paying, not for her first class that you expect, but for the producer, to get first class. That they were really nervous about her health.
By the way, we talk about this a lot. I feel like Real Housewives gets the worst trips. The only good one was
New York. You mean New York? Yeah.
That's
the only good one was Monaco. That was it. Everyone was
know.
Hong Kong.
Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills goes to these very exotic locations, and I feel like New York never goes. They've been to Mexico like 6 times. I feel
another island somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't actually talk to Kelly that airport when you guys.
I couldn't talk. I could talk to her. I did to her. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I got to go home." I said, "Why? Why aren't you staying?" And she's like, "My nanny. My nanny had to leave, and I got to go home." That was it. And I was like, at that point, I should have said to whoever was meeting me, and I don't really remember that part, you know what? Kelly's leaving. This isn't turning out to be what I thought. I'm not going to, even if I had a pad in my own pocket, I'm going to go on to St.
But I think you still had good intentions where it seemed like your intentions were bad. They made it come across like
did they
you were trying to sabotage the trip.
No. Did you get that?
I didn't feel like you were trying to sabotage. No.
They were having their manicure. They were laying down, and you came in, and it was like, oh no. Why is she here?
I think it must have just been so emotionally exhausting for them.
Well, I found out a lot afterwards.
Right.
Years later, I became friendly with Alex. I was always real, like friends or not friends. I mean, a lot of them, Alex thought she was best friends with some of the girls. And as soon as she stopped filming, they never talked to her again, never called her again.
Right.
I did, because I'm the real deal, right? So I stayed in touch with her. I'm the only one who does talk to her. And I still.
How is she?
She's great. She's living her own private life. He became a lawyer in Australia, but not the same kind of education you get here as a lawyer. It's more of like a master's here, but he became a lawyer there, and she got a PhD in psychology.
Do you find that happens with the Housewives a lot? It's like somebody leaves the show and no one keeps in touch, or they just sort of drop them.
If they're not authentic friends, why would they? I started the show as real friends. Like, I was friends with these girls, and then I didn't know Alex, but we said that on the show that none of us knew her. But I didn't know Kelly, but we became friends. I kind of pick people up. That's my thing. I'm always the mama bear. I'm the connector. I always like to pick people up.
Right.
Because even though you might have fights with Ramona, I feel like you are actually in the same friend circle.
I'm still talking to Ramona.
Part of
and not talking to her. They're still fighting.
I love that.
We're fighting friends. We make up. We fight.
And Cindy Barshop, still a really good friend. Luann.
Oh yeah, even Jennifer Gilbert and I still talk. She got divorced. A lot of people got divorced from the show.
This is the last question, and then I'll totally move on from this. But with the Scary Island stuff, there were always rumors, or people had always said even explicitly that it was much worse. I think Bethany had said it was much worse than what we saw on TV. Did you hear that too, or did you?
Oh, I definitely heard that. Listen, I know what I felt when I walked in that house.
Right.
And I had Bobby holding my hand.
Right.
And Kelly had nobody.
Yeah.
And I know what those mouths are.
Right.
To be vilely mean, and just it's anything amplified. It's amplified. And remember, in real life, they weren't friends. Never liked each other. It wasn't.
You mean Kelly and everyone else?
Bethany or whatever. And Kelly,
right.
She went like this, and Bethany went. So they were never friends. It's different when you're friends and you have a fight and you make up. Listen, I always said that if you have a real friend, if you can get past your first fight. Well, and I never got past my first fight with some of these girls, which means we were never really friends.
But the opposite of hate isn't. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's like ambivalence, right? Like
indifference, right?
Right. They don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
No love lost, right?
So then what was the vibe going into season 4? How did you feel? Because you had a rough season 3.
Great. I felt great.
Yeah.
Because she was gone, and that was my biggest, challenge. That was my challenge. So now I had my allies, right? I was friends with Kelly. I was best friends with Luann. I was friends with Sonia. They brought on new girl Cindy. I was great. And I had Alex as my nemesis, but she really wasn't my nemesis. She became Luann's, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Ramona and I are Ramona and I. That'll never change. But Ramona has that relationship with everybody on the show. It's not just me.
Right? This season, Ramona's.
I think she's great. Great.
So this, so that was season 1 through 4. I feel like is a different show than what we are watching now. It's very much evolved and changed. In some ways good and in some ways bad. I think we're all like nostalgic for those early seasons. They even play them all the time on Bravo, and it's like the best.
I know.
How do you think, just from your perspective, how do you think the show has changed and evolved?
I just got bigger. Things change. There's something to say about when we had no money for hair and makeup,
I always go back to I think it was your season 1 reunion. You were wearing the Team Jill shirt.
That's what you were saying on the show last week. The Team Jill reunion shirt.
I did.
Do you still have that? You need to auction that off or something.
You
also, wait, Jill, also, can you somehow publish that photo of Kelly at the airport? Where can we get that footage?
I'll put it on my website. I said I was going to do a thing on my website of pictures from the historical, because I didn't want to give them to Instagram and Facebook and they could do whatever, whatever. I wanted to control it. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. I said I was going to, we're redoing our website a little bit, the homepage. And I said, I want to have a section for vintage, throwback photos of the seasons. Because, what people don't know is I was the documentary person. Nobody there was no Facebook. Maybe there was Facebook. There's no Instagram. It was 2008. It was a totally different, if you go back to your iPhone photos, we were still using cameras with film.
The Kodak.
Kodak. We started using cameras with sticks, right?
Right.
I mean, could you imagine we had memory sticks?
Please publish that.
But I was the only one who took photos of everything, and everyone else couldn't be bothered. I'm also the only one who has autographs. I got everybody to sign apples, including Bethany, me, the original 5. I have autographed apples.
Sorry, go ahead, Ally.
Oh, I was going to say, I think I talk about a lot with my friends that there's so much glam on Beverly Hills and Atlanta and all the other shows, and New York is so behind in that. But whenever I say that, my friends are like, no, that's why we like New York, because it was less glam and it was more organic and authentic, because she was like the New York socialite. And Denise Richards is kind of that. Why would she need glam now when she is glam in her real life?
I love that. I love that.
Right. I think it works for some people, but one of the things I think we all love about New York is it feels like these women, like you said, you're in the same social circles as Ramona, and it's like
circle of people.
I run with a fabulous circle.
Right. We can feel that. So those first,
I don't have 60.
Right. I know Ramona's got, sometimes it's 80, sometimes it's 60.
So I think Dorinda said that she might have lost a few this weekend, so I think she's got 57. That's very funny. There's some things that are just so iconically funny.
You guys had so many moments, and the show, those early seasons, it was such a pop culture phenomenon, the whole Housewives franchise. And I mean, was there a moment like a magazine shoot or something that sticks out to you?
I think that there's a lot of things that happened to New York that didn't happen to the other shows,
right?
That people aren't really aware of. So Project Runway was on Bravo when we were on Bravo, season 1. And then Harvey Weinstein took it and he brought it to Lifetime because he couldn't make a deal with Bravo. And it left a hole in programming that they couldn't fill quickly because it was like a last minute pull. And they had prepaid for all these buses in New York City. Mm. And we were not scheduled to be on the buses with our ads that year. But they put us on the buses because Project Runway got...
And it was season 2. It wasn't even season 1.
And then when they started airing the show, they had Project Runway in the lineup, right? So they have all these shows. And by the way, there were only at the time Orange County in New York. It wasn't like they had a whole library.
Right.
And they had this big hole. So what would happen is, you probably don't realize this, but you watched us like 24 hours a day for weeks. They kept rerunning because they didn't have Project Runway. They didn't have any other housewife shows. And the ratings were doing great. So I think that people really got to know us and addicted to us because they don't realize this, but they had to watch us so many more hours than they do, let's say. Like an episode would air, I'm going to guess, 40 hours until the next week. 40, 50 hours.
Wow.
Now, it'll air 3 or 4 hours.
Three times, yeah.
That night, it'll air second time that night. It'll air the day of the next week, maybe 2 times. Maybe maybe 1 or 2 times in the middle of the night. But now they have so many more shows. They have they have so many shows.
But it must have been so weird for your life to, I mean, I have literally in my office, I should have put it out here. I have a framed, I think it's Us Weekly. One of the tabloids, it's you and Bethany and Kelly on the cover.
Oh my God, that was the only cover I ever
Why do you have
it
framed?
That's so
because I'm a huge RHONY fan. That's why. What do you mean? Why not? But yeah, that must have been so weird because none of you knew.
Hold on, you have no idea. We won. First of all, Harper's Bazaar did a spread, a 5-page spread. That was like the day in the life of a supermodel. I don't think any of the, and I could be wrong, but I don't know if any of the other housewives after us ever got that because we were iconic. It was like this first, unless Beverly Hills maybe, but I got to be like a supermodel for the day. Harper's Bazaar, we had, what's the famous hair cutter? Oscar Blondie was there. He took a day off from his life to be there the whole day, and he was a big fan. And he did all of our hair that day. And they had a very famous stylist who came to our homes, got our sizes, and you should see. And then they had a manicurist there. They had a
That's amazing.
They had this is what they really do in a real photo shoot, you know? So that was very exciting.
So were you able to take it in? Like when that kind of stuff is, yeah.
Tons of photos. But 2 things personally that I had that no one else had. The New York Times did a New York Times magazine. They had the New York Times magazine. They did a caricature of me. And I found out later on that the girl who did the photo, the drawing, I wanted to buy the original from her. And somehow I lost track of her. But I'd like to buy the original. But it was this glam, surreal caricature of me. And the whole article was on me.
Wow.
That was in the New York Times magazine. That was ridiculous. And then the other big thing
the bus.
was... Well, the bus. The first time I saw the bus and I was in the center, I almost died.
Oh my God.
Being in New York City, living in New York City, and having your face on a bus is surreal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And there was one
especially now because there's so much social media that takes up all of that like media attention. Back then, without Instagram or Facebook,
That was like a big deal.
Seeing
now it's like
buses and ads. That was so cool.
Well, I also think what's different is you guys didn't necessarily know what you were getting into, I would imagine. Like now, if somebody joins the Housewives, they know they might be written about or whatever.
We didn't know. But you know what? I knew when we did a photo shoot for the New York Times or something really big. And I remember we were in a hotel. And I remember the 5 of us were there.
I think it was TV Guide, wasn't it?
This is going to be huge, guys. Like, just take it all in now. I think I Google searched myself, and I had 400 or 500 things, which was a lot, by the way. And it was all photos from socialite things that I had gone to, which is how they found me. And then it blew up into the multi-millions. But the other big thing that was for me was Entertainment Weekly had their top 25 shows of the year. It was their annual review, and they did a photo shoot. And they took one person from each show at Bravo, because Bravo was number 17. And I got picked to represent the Housewives. But you know what was hard? They picked me, and then they say, but you can't tell anyone because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, right? But they're going to find out.
Then they get mad at you. Right.
And they get mad at you. And that happens all the time. It's almost like those things start the fight for the next season.
Right. And then you can't really necessarily talk about those things on the season.
No.
Right.
Because you're not on TV. You're supposed to not be on TV. So.
Ally, were you aware of like that this was like a phenomenon as a young kid? Like, could you even, yeah.
No, I was embarrassed about it.
Oh my God. When did you?
Hated it.
There was only Housewives of Orange County at the time. And it was just embarrassing. I didn't tell anyone we were filming it. I would come home after school. The producers would be there. Like you'd see, there's no makeup. There's no one's going shopping for us. It was my school uniform. I came home. Same with Avery.
Did you and Avery get along? Like, do you guys commiserate back then?
She was older. Ally was a year or 2 older. In that age, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Now they're friends, but back then that was like a big age difference.
Right.
I mean, we're in different circles, but I did go to school with Victoria, Luann's daughter.
Okay.
Like, people don't know that Luann's kids went to the same school as Ally in New York.
Okay, Jill, I have just a few more questions for you. These are some people wrote into the Everything Iconic Patreon. Taylor Harris wants to know, where's Brad? I'm also very curious. What's going on with Brad?
We don't know. We have no idea. I know his husband sadly passed away a couple of years ago. I heard that. But I don't know where Brad is.
You guys just...
time I saw him was in Morocco. When I ran into him, that was real, by the way. That was not set up. That was not like pre-planned. I literally ran into Brad in a store in Morocco.
What happened? Were you guys...
He was there.
You guys just...
I ran into a store in Morocco.
Oh
Seriously,
God.
that's God wanting to intervene.
Right.
So many levels. And then that night when they read, the psychic read Ramona and said her husband's cheating on her, and obviously we know he was, that was crazy.
Did any of you know that before it sort of came out?
No, I don't think we knew.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised. I felt her pain though. I felt bad.
Right. Kate O wants to know how your family's doing. We got to know your sister. We got to know Gloria, who we all love.
My father is, knock on wood, just turned 91. He comes here every day for lunch. He just left a little while ago. And you know, it's so funny. Last night, I was watching Netflix, that show about the gymnast. Ally was in her room watching that
Athlete
Netflix
A.
special. And Ally couldn't get on because it said that there were 3 people. It said there were too many people on. And I'm like, how could that be? There's just me and you. I called Netflix, I knock everyone off, go back on, blah, blah. I find out today my mother was watching Netflix.
What was she watching?
Who knows? But I said,
she's watched all of Netflix. Like, what have you watched?
I set her up for it like years ago, and she could never figure it out. And now she figured out how to use Netflix. So it's
I love Gloria on the show.
Oh, she's the best. My mother is beyond the best, and they needed more Gloria. You know, that's the thing is like, I feel like the fans just got short at the end of the stick to a certain extent because they lost a family. Like, even though they brought on, I forgot her name, Heather, to replace me, but she had a husband and 2 little kids, but it wasn't the same. And she didn't have a mother and a father and a sister. She just, like, I feel like I felt like that was a missing piece. And I would have, it didn't have to be me.
And Grandma and Bethany.
Let somebody else's mother come on.
But Grandma and Bethany were very, very close. Grandma gave her lots of advice.
Yeah. And Marisol had her mom on. Like, I love that.
Mama Elsa was the best. She was the best person on Bravo.
I feel like when they cast, come on, give us a full family. Not just a woman. I need a mother. I guess Leah brought on her mom and dad, but I don't feel like they really want to be on the show. I think they're there to kind of keep their daughter in line and make sure she doesn't, end up where she was 10 years ago. And I love Leah.
She's great. She's great on the show. What would you, I know people probably ask you this all the time, like, has there ever been interest for you to go back full time? I know you're in Florida now, so I don't even know if that would work.
No, I think that ship sailed. Like Bethany said, I think that the show's, I think it's coming to it. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's struggling right now.
And what you said, leave the party early.
And leave the party early. Yeah. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, this season.
Bethany said that to me. We talked a little bit about it, and she's like, but she told me this after she left season 3. Like, I remember when we were friends, I remember how she said to me, this show's not going to last more than 5 years. That's what she predicted. At that, this is a long time ago. This is going to last 5 years. You got to leave at the top. You got to leave like after 3.
Right.
Now, mind you, she did leave.
And
she came back because it was like, and then she realized, I think again, that maybe there's 5 years left. She's going to leave in her third, and it'll, because you don't want to be there when you don't get on a loser. You just don't. It just doesn't feel good. I feel like I'm left on top.
Do you feel like the Housewives, the whole franchise is sort of on its way out a little bit? Or
I think that I think they absolutely have a chance. Listen, COVID's going to change everything.
Right.
But I'll tell you something, with the right families, it could be better than ever. I said that we should be the Truman Show. If you only knew what went on in this house, first of all, I happen to be with a guy who is literally the funniest person I've ever met.
Oh my God.
Allison never laughs.
Don't tell him that.
She doesn't stop laughing, but she's very mean to him. So I'm always yelling at her, but he deserves it.
Yeah, he likes
being an idiot.
Oh
anyway, and he would you
do another reality? Would you do your own show? Is that something of interest to you?
Work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Work. Why? For what? My ego? I don't need my ego stroked. I'm good. I'm good. I think I've got great shows like you who still have an interest in us. If I want to get out there, like when we started this Nashes for Nurses, I called my friend. He got us on Fox, CNN,
Today Show.
We got on everything.
Right.
In one day. So it's not like I still don't have it, and I still keep myself out there.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't lost that yet, and we keep our
I think that's with Instagram and
social media, right?
Become authentic and have ourselves out there without having a platform.
And you can control it.
Right,
Yeah.
not
You can control the right.
Ally always tries to edit me. I'm like, she's like, your hair looks terrible. You look horrible. I'm like, that's me, honey. Take it.
Jill, I'm not even bullshitting you. I think you look better than ever. Like, you look so good. And I think
no makeup. No good. Camera's no good. No makeup.
You look amazing. No, you look great. Both of you, Ally. I mean, you both look great.
Ally lost weight because I'm starving her to death because I don't cook enough.
I know I've kept you both so long. Is there anything else you want to plug or talk about? I mentioned the rugs. Everyone's got to go look at those rugs because they're fantastic.
The rugs are, they're child-proof, they're pet-proof, they're stain-proof. But you know what I'm doing great with? My outdoor rugs. Have you seen them?
No, I don't have an outdoor space, unfortunately. But
not even a terrace. Nothing in California?
I have like the tiniest little like 2x2. It's like nothing.
Like a Juliet thing.
Yeah,
it's that's it. You can put
it's literally you stick your head out and that's it.
You know, I never did this before. I actually put an outdoor rug in front of my house. I thought that was kind of cool. But I don't know. I'd like to. I think if we stay in Florida, we're going to need a bigger house. We're a little tight here. A little tight.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe move to another community. I'm thinking about. We'll see what happens. I still have my apartment in New York. It's empty. If anybody wants to sublet, let me know. No, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Yeah. I'm keeping it because I'm hoping Ally's going to go back to New York. I had to move her out while doing this.
So all of Ally's stuff's with you in Florida now, right?
No, I'm paying $400 a month in storage that I just paid the bill.
Oh my gosh. Will we see you again this season on Housewives at all? Or
we filmed initially and they cut it.
Well, we were in the beginning in the first scene in the Hamptons or whatever in the beginning, and they cut it because it was boring. So they're not going to.
It seemed like they cut stuff from last season too. You were at the tree lighting. We saw you briefly, but.
Tree lighting, yeah.
Do you love that they call me a friend of Luann now?
That's disgusting, Jill. That is so not okay.
Wait, what do you think they should
I didn't notice it, but Heather went
They should just call her Jill Zarin is what they need to call. Yeah. Kim Richards was on Beverly Hills last week and hers just said Kim Richards.
Oh.
It didn't say Kyle's sister.
I don't think the producers of Housewives likes me. Not Bravo. Bravo.
Why not though? Why?
My production company hates me and I don't know why. I don't know what I did to them. I really don't. I think someone said something that I did that I probably didn't do. I don't know. Because things like that happen and I'm like, what did I do? I didn't do anything except try to help them make
Jill's there and Luann's friend.
But some of the
hated that more than I did. I didn't care.
And honestly, some of the decisions this season, I love the show, but the decisions this season, a lot of them don't make any sense to me. It seems like and I don't know. I know producers, of course, they do a lot of work and there's so many things going on. And I don't think they maybe knew Bethany was not going to show up. And so I think they had a lot of.
They had problems when first Bethany
and then Tinsley
together, and then Tinsley dropped the bomb. And not only did she drop the bomb, she's leaving. She was leaving like that day, like she was going to give them one more scene, and that's it. And they have a contract.
But see,
shit, she
didn't care.
She might have a contract. The contract would say something like, "Listen, you can't make someone shoot a reality show. If I want to sit on the toilet, you're gonna film me. I mean." Yeah. But you'll stop me from doing anyone else's show. You'll stop me from doing all these other things. But you're really not going to hurt me personally. What are you going to do? You're going to sue me? I mean, actually, they probably could sue her for damages of the show not doing as well. But, she's a single girl in her 40s. She found love. She wants to move forward. Who's going to begrudge her that? You're gonna go out there and publicly sue this girl? No. Right. But she could have, in fairness, she should have given them more time. I don't think she did the right thing.
I thought they should have spent some of the money then. Wouldn't that have opened up some money to bring in? If they didn't have time to cast somebody new, then I would have thought, if I was producing, of course I'm not, but I would have thrown a bunch of money at you or Heather or someone from.
I'm not that expensive.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about money.
But it just seems like they needed needed more. I don't know. Anyway,
they had a lease. They had a lease lane.
Right.
Who introduced Mom to Bethany?
Did you know she introduced me and Bethany?
No, wait. How?
Talk about 6 degrees of first of all, I completely forgot. I read about it in a blog. I mean, Elise and I are friendly.
Yeah.
I read about it and I texted her and I'm like, did you say you introduced me and Bethany? And she calls me up and she's like, Jill, do you remember when we went to Nobu? And I said, this is a girl I'm friendly with, and I think you'd really like her. And I'm like, oh my God, you did. You absolutely did. I'm so sorry. I have the worst memory, which everyone knows. She did.
Wow.
How great would it have been if Bethany was still on the show? Elise comes on and then I come back.
That would have been fantastic.
As a friend.
Right. You know, I think we got a little bit of you and Bethany before she left, but I think it would have been nice for fans to see a little bit more of you two together, just because that storyline was so important to fans.
She didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. Jill, this was such a delight. Thank you so much for taking the time. I loved watching you, and we all still watch you because they air your episodes so often. So I feel like we still see you guys.
I do love it. Or Netflix and some
do love it. I love the fans. If anybody's listening who, going back to the charity, is a social worker or, having to do with the front line, send us a DM through Instagram to me, to Jill Zarin, or to Ally Shapiro. Allison or Ally? Ally Shapiro on whatever, or to you, and you can let us know.
Right.
Because we haven't said no yet. So the more we sell, the more
meals
we
and
get.
masks.
Well, congratulations on all the charity work. It's truly amazing, and everyone needs to be wearing a mask right now, particularly when they go out in the house.
Better a mask than a ventilator. That's what I.
That's right. Jill, thank you guys so much. I want to encourage everyone, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, to hit like, subscribe, comment. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Ally.
Don't forget to follow Bossy Zarin.
Yes, Bossy's
on Instagram, and she is the best.
It's like Ginger licking up the nose.
Oh my God. Thank you guys so much. You guys stay safe, and thank you for chatting. Okay, bye-bye.